Good afternoon on what is a cool, bright day. It is Thursday, the 10th of February. I'm back in the region Nook with some parcels and a cat who is not ours, who has just joined me, and of course, a nice hot cup of tea. So, the first parcel I'm going to open is this one, which came today. It's family blue, so it's taking a bit of effort to undo. Almost there. There we go. And what we have is this. It is Legendlore Core Rulebook. Legendlore Core Rulebook is published by Onyx Path Publishing from Caliber Comics, and the Realm of Legendlore sits on an unstable nexus of reality and sees many visitors from other worlds. You are such a visitor. In Legendlore, you have crossed from Earth into East Azoth and become a changed version of yourself. A songwriter finds themselves a bard, a scientist, a wizard. You might find yourself in a whole new body, better than your true self, including adopting a new fantasy race. Legendlore offers a diverse and inclusive world filled with adventure and mystery. Fight megalomaniac dictators, explore magic and strange science, and claim your legend as you find a way back home. In this book, you will find 18 backgrounds to play as yourself in Legendlore, such as activist or scientist. I bet there isn't one for editor or reviewer. Legend mechanics to represent your destiny, for +5 sample legends. 7 player races, including pixies and orcs. 2 new classes, the alchemist and gunslinger, and 15 subclasses. A starting adventure with 5 pre-generated characters. Now then, let's have a look. So this is obviously a fantasy supplement. And it is probably based on the title of a comic series from from Caliber Comics, which I've not come across, so I'll have to go and look that up. But let's delve a little deeper into it, shall we? So we open up with a bit of fiction. We've got a lengthy table of contents, then we've got the fiction itself. And you get the introduction, and you have this sort of sense of, from that image, you kind of have the sense of I don't know, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, if you remember, where the kids are go on a fantasy ride at a theme park, and they get transported to a fantasy realm and become character classes or versions of themselves, in this realm. But anyway, so we have. I'm just trying to see whether this is. Okay, yeah, it's a 5th edition supplement. Doesn't say that, which I find a little odd, but it's got the OG, terms of the OG out at the back. So yeah, there we go. Here's the open gaming license there at the back there. So yeah, and then we get into. So you all aren't from around here, are you? And this essentially explores how the player characters are going to have ended up in this fantasy world. So you have this sort of layer of almost of double role playing, I suppose, where you're role playing, Bob from Wichita, or Dave from Crew, who has been transported into this fantasy world to become, Bob the Wizard or Dave the Ranger, for example. So yeah. And this interesting thing is, I know this game, you the player might be an avid role player. Your character can be too. Role-playing games exist in Legendlore's Earth. And this may indeed give you a leg up, because you should easily recognise the common threads from one fantasy game to another. In fact, the only thing that does not exist in the version of Earth presented in the Legendlore role-playing game are the Legendlore comics. So, it's weird. You can have, role players, LARPers, Renaissance Fair attendees, turning up on this board and saying, "Oh yes, I know all this," or, you know, and reenactors. Some of whom will know more about the sort of like the history of it, at least, than others, and might actually be better prepared for it. So that's quite interesting. Okay, so a discussion of the legend, Section 0 and the legacies and legends of the characters. So yeah, so this is an interesting idea. Turning things like legend reputation and legend points before we get into backgrounds on feats and having background feats for the visitors. And he's back. You know, that's suggesting things like academic education, or artist or activist, born into wealth, entertainer, faithful farmer, historian, high school student, a medical professional. So yeah, high school student, you could actually do that kind of D&D setup if you wanted to. You know, role-play high school students dumped in a fantasy world or an occultist. You can actually be a role-playing aficionado. So then we've got Realmborn backgrounds, so they're a bit more traditional. So, you know, and then we've gone to feats, so, you know, Battlefire Glance, Bare Knuckle Brawler, Broken Sword Initiate, lots of different feats there for you to play with. And then we've got the people of East Azoth. So, Brazine Trolls. Dwarf. And yeah, this is a lot of this artwork is familiar because it sort of popped up on my Twitter feed over the past, I suppose, good year or so. So that's Harefoots, dwarves, humans, shifty looking human, orc, and they've gone for a very pig-like version of the orc, but you know, cast them as a gentle creature there, and then pixies, and then we get into the classes. And you have certain ones which are available and some which aren't available. So we've got Alchemist and Gunslinger, Barbarian, and that piece of artwork of the female barbarian there, obviously it's going to pop up quite a few times. Druid, fighter. Some obviously got some of these traditional, some of them are new. Paladin, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, and you've got these depictions of characters in wheelchairs, and again, you know, and a diverse range of character archetypes and so on in there. So wizard, and you know, again, what that means is this has a degree of inclusivity that perhaps isn't, at least in the depiction of the artwork, isn't always inherent in other role-playing games, but it's beginning to be these days, and perfectly possible. You know, so nothing wrong with that. And then we've got a discussion of magic, rituals, and spells. So we've got a table of focus items, animals, conjure animals that they can conjure. So lots and lots of things in here, and then you've got a new list of spells, and you actually have an example here of to set a wheelchair-bound caster in action. So yeah, there's the list of all the new spells. And then we get on to the realm itself, discussing the setting. An actual, let's just check, depiction of the realm. I would have liked that to be a bit more prominent, perhaps in in the end papers there. Something there would have been useful. And then we get into nations and dangerous places. And it's going out. It's got descriptions of these various places, like. Let's have a look. So, notable cities such as Gitchell, or in, and okay, you've got adventure hooks given, included in the description of the locations. So lots of those as well. So you've got plenty of ideas of which to sort of like build upon once you've, done the beginning adventures. And then we have allies, adversaries, and creatures. And that's great. I like the image. It's cartoonish, but it really works. You've got, you got that sense of action and against a great threat. So we have things like elves and grey-hilled giants and goblins. And these aren't illustrated. I think that's disappointing. I always like, if you've got a bestiary, do always good to illustrate it. Let's have a look. So cave goblins and hairfeets and hobgoblins. Let's just see if there's anything standout wise in the monsters. Minotaurs and ogres. So there we go. Picture of ogres in action. And orcs on a raid, quite happily on a raid there. Pixies as well, trolls. Then we get to creatures, demons, the strange four-armed demons there, wormling dragon. And then various other creatures. So they've done like a block illustration there. Before we get on to this, got a piece of fiction at the end. So magic items and strange things, because you're going to reward your player characters for something. And you also got a sense of action again, but a giant bat attacking an airship. So there's an element of steampunk to the setting as well, because obviously you've got firearms. So lots of items in here, and then we get into advice for the game master and on running the game, including session 0. Building your story, how to run, keep to the rule of cool, and then starting adventure, voices from afar. So I bet this is going to be the adventure where basically the player characters hear strange voices and suddenly find themselves in another world. Right. So that's the transition adventure from the Earthwood Legendlore to the lost East Azoth of Legendlore, and so even you've got a bit of technology there, a bit of a mysterious thing, and you're going, why has he got a radio? And then you've got some pre-generated characters as well. So you've got several characters they're ready to play. So basically it's the complete package. Of course you're going to need you know, player's handbook, but everything else, I think you're just going to need this. So yeah, that's Legendlore, the core rulebook from Onyx Path Publishing. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this unboxing of the Nook. If you have, then please do click the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings at the Nook, where you will see me out here with a parcel and a book or game, which I will unbox and talk about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, and I'm back again soon with another unboxing of the Nook. Bye for now.